I had a intense year. This morning I sent a text message.
A $400 million lawsuit, 2 A-list actors at war, and a film that was supposed to be a romantic blockbuster. What really went down between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni behind the scenes of It Ends With Us? Because what started as a dream project turned into a legal disaster that's only getting messier. Nobody saw it coming, least of all the fans. In early 2025, Justin Baldoni, best known for Jane the Virgin and directing heartfelt dramas like 5 Feet Apart, hit back hard against Blake Lively, accusing her of orchestrating a $400 million smear campaign. This was months after Lively had filed her own lawsuit, alleging misconduct and retaliation during filming. The public was stunned. Just months earlier, the duo had walked red carpets and posted behind-the-scenes smiles while filming It Ends With Us, an adaptation of Colleen Hoover's best-selling novel. But the lawsuit revealed a drastically different story, one filled with accusations of manipulation, control, and high-stakes betrayal. In response to Lively's legal action, Baldoni didn't just deny her claims, he countersued. Not only did he accuse her of defamation, but he also dragged her husband, Deadpool star Ryan Reynolds, into the legal storm. According to Baldoni and his production company, Wayfarer Studios, the couple had allegedly tried to destroy his career and reputation. He claimed Lively had stolen creative control of the film and used her influence to tank his name in the industry. But it didn't stop there. Baldoni even sued the New York Times, accusing them of spreading false claims based on Lively's legal filing. It was a full-scale media and legal blitz. But what happened next would turn the tables completely. It didn't take long for the courts to shut Baldoni down. On June 9th, U.S. District Court Judge Louis Lyman delivered a blow to the director's $400 million lawsuit. And just like that, his retaliation strategy began to crumble. In a move that surprised many, Judge Lyman dismissed nearly every part of Baldoni's countersuit. His reasoning? Lively's misconduct allegations, which Baldoni claimed were defamatory, were made inside a legal filing, meaning they're protected under U.S. law. In short, you can't sue someone for what they say in court documents. That wasn't all. Baldoni had also accused Lively of stealing creative control over It Ends With Us, an accusation his legal team framed as extortion. But the judge wasn't buying it. He ruled that even that claim didn't qualify as extortion under California law. It was a clean sweep for Lively. Even his attempt to go after the New York Times for reporting on the case was flatly rejected. The court ruled the paper was protected by laws that safeguard journalists reporting on matters of public interest. The message was clear. The court wasn't just skeptical. It viewed Baldoni's entire legal strategy as meritless. But just when it seemed like the case was over, Judge Lyman left one door open. A narrow one. Just when it looked like Baldoni's legal campaign had hit a wall, Judge Lyman left behind a crack of possibility. While most of the countersuit was thrown out, the judge gave Baldoni's team permission to amend their case, but only if they focused on a completely different angle. Instead of defamation or extortion, Baldoni was invited to file new claims based on contract law. Specifically, the court suggested he could pursue accusations that Blake Lively may have breached or interfered with contractual agreements tied to the film's production. It was far from a win, but it wasn't a total loss either. Baldoni's lawyers quickly seized the opening, hinting that they were already preparing to revise the lawsuit. In a sharply worded statement, attorney Brian Friedman dismissed Lively's legal victory as predictable and false, doubling down on their claim that her allegations were no truer today than they were yesterday. The new strategy? Shift the conversation away from emotional accusations and anchor it in hard contracts. That could pull producers, studio executives, and possibly internal documents into the spotlight, turning the next chapter of this legal drama into something even more unpredictable. But here's the twist. If Baldoni goes down that road, he might end up exposing more than just alleged contract breaches. He could put his own behind-the-scenes decisions and relationships under scrutiny. For Blake Lively, the judge's ruling wasn't just a legal win, It was a moment of public vindication. Within hours of the decision, her attorneys released a blistering statement calling the court's opinion a total victory and a complete vindication for everyone Baldoni tried to sue, including Lively, Ryan Reynolds, her longtime publicist Leslie Sloan, and the New York Times. They didn't hold back. According to Lively's legal team, the countersuit was never about justice. It was a blatant attempt to intimidate, retaliate, and silence. And now that the court had thrown it out, they were ready to go on the offensive. Their next move? Pursuing treble damages, which could triple the financial penalties Baldoni might face, as well as attorneys' fees and punitive damages for what they described as a baseless lawsuit. In other words, this wasn't just about clearing Lively's name anymore. It was about making Baldoni and his team pay for dragging her and others through months of high-profile litigation. Meanwhile, the New York Times also weighed in, slamming the countersuit as a meritless attempt to stifle honest reporting. They praised the court for protecting journalism and warned that cases like this could set dangerous precedents if allowed to proceed. Lively's side had won a major battle, but the original war, the one that started with her own lawsuit months earlier, is far from over.
The warning signs were there long before lawyers got involved.
It Ends With Us was supposed to be a passion project, directed by Justin Baldoni, starring Blake Lively, and adapted from Colleen Hoover's emotionally charged novel that had built a massive following. On paper, it had everything: star power, a loyal fan base, and a powerful message about love, trauma, and survival. But behind the scenes, cracks were already forming. According to sources close to the production, tensions between Lively and Baldoni started early. Creative disagreements reportedly escalated as filming progressed, with rumors swirling that Lively wanted more control over how her character was portrayed, especially given the sensitive nature of the story's themes. Fans had high expectations, and both stars knew it. Then came the whispers of something darker. Rumors began surfacing online about discomfort on set, with anonymous insiders suggesting that Lively felt unheard during production. While no public statements were made at the time, the energy around the film shifted. Red carpet appearances felt strained, interviews were canceled, and social media posts promoting the film became noticeably sparse. Still, the film made it to theaters in August, and, despite everything, it exceeded expectations with a $50 million opening weekend. But the success couldn't mask what was already brewing beneath the surface. Just a few months later, Blake Lively filed her lawsuit, alleging that what she endured on set went far beyond creative disagreements. Her claim? That there were misconducts and that she was targeted in a secret campaign to destroy her credibility. And once that was filed, there was no turning back. Blake Lively's lawsuit shook Hollywood. Filed quietly in late 2024, her legal claim alleged that she was subjected to misconduct during the filming of It Ends With Us. While she didn't name Baldoni directly in the filing, the details and the timing left little room for doubt. According to the complaint, Lively described an on-set environment where boundaries were crossed and concerns were ignored. She claimed that certain creative interactions during rehearsals made her deeply uncomfortable, and when she spoke up, instead of being heard, she was allegedly gaslit and pushed out of key decisions surrounding the film's direction. Worse, Lively alleged that after raising concerns privately, a secret campaign was launched to discredit her, painting her as difficult and uncooperative in conversations with executives and press contacts. The goal, she claimed, was to isolate her professionally and tarnish her reputation before the movie even premiered. Her legal team framed it not just as misconduct, but retaliation, and not just a workplace issue, but a calculated power play designed to protect Baldoni's image while sacrificing hers. And then came the shocker. Ryan Reynolds was named as a witness. While he wasn't accused of any wrongdoing, Lively's lawsuit indicated that her husband had direct knowledge of how she was treated, and that his attempts to step in had allegedly made him a target as well. That detail turned a workplace conflict into a high-profile Hollywood firestorm overnight. As the case picked up steam, public opinion began to shift. What once looked like a creative clash between two stars was now something deeper, more personal, and far more damaging. If Blake Lively's case moves forward as scheduled, the trial set for March 2026 could become one of the most closely watched legal battles in modern Hollywood. And not just because of the names involved, but because of what might come out in court. Unlike the countersuit that just got dismissed, Lively's claims are still very much alive. Her team is preparing to present evidence, witness testimony, and what they describe as documented attempts to smear her reputation after she spoke up. That could include emails, text messages, call logs, even behind-the-scenes footage. Anything that helps prove retaliation or misconduct occurred. And here's the part that has insiders nervous. If the court allows depositions, key industry players may be forced to testify under oath. Producers, studio reps, publicists, possibly even other cast and crew members. Suddenly, everything that happened during and after the filming of It Ends With Us becomes fair game. Baldoni, who has built his public image around empathy, vulnerability, and social justice, now finds himself facing allegations that strike directly at the heart of that brand. If the trial moves forward, he could be compelled to answer tough questions, not just about what happened on set, but about what was said, shared, and strategized after the fact. Meanwhile, Lively's team seems confident. They've framed this as a fight not just for justice, but for industry accountability, signaling that they're ready to push back against what they see as a long-standing pattern of silencing women in Hollywood. And with Ryan Reynolds quietly standing behind her, the power dynamics in this battle have shifted in a way that few saw coming.
No matter how this ends, the damage is already done.
For Justin Baldoni, once celebrated for reshaping ideas of masculinity and emotional openness, the very traits that defined his brand are now under scrutiny. Even if he pushes forward with a revised lawsuit, the narrative has already shifted, and public trust is a harder thing to rebuild than a film career. His defenders claim he's being unfairly vilified, that he's the target of a coordinated takedown. But his critics argue the countersuit, especially its sheer size and aggression, felt less like justice and more like retaliation. The optics? Not great. And in Hollywood, perception is currency. Blake Lively, on the other hand, won this round, but the real battle, the trial, could be career-defining. If her allegations are substantiated in court, it could mark a major turning point, not just for her, but for how retaliation claims are handled industry-wide. But if the case falters, it risks feeding skepticism about speaking out, something her team seems painfully aware of. For now, both stars are silent. No interviews, no statements outside of legal filings. The world is watching, but they've gone quiet. Maybe because the next word spoken will be in a courtroom. And in the background, It Ends With Us continues to stream, sell tickets, and spark debate. A film about surviving toxic relationships has become a mirror for a real-life conflict that's forcing the industry to reckon with its own image. Because what started as a romance on and off screen has turned into something no one expected, a cautionary tale for the entire entertainment world.